When it comes to healthcare, trust is pretty much everything, right? So today, we're going to explore how something called content marketing can be the bridge that connects a provider's expertise directly to what a patient needs, building that trust one step at a time. Let's just put ourselves in the patient's shoes for a second. Imagine you've just gotten a diagnosis, or maybe you're just looking into different treatment options. You're probably filled with questions, a little bit of anxiety, and you just have this deep need for some clarity. What's your first move? Yeah, for almost all of us, that first move is straight to the internet. We pull out our phones, open a browser, and we just start searching. And that right there, that's where the journey and, frankly, the problem really begins. You're immediately hit with this sea of information. Some of it is helpful, some is just confusing, and some of it is, well, it's just plain wrong. So this first step, the patient's digital search, that really defines the world that every healthcare provider has to live in now. It's the starting line for building any kind of relationship. And this gets to the absolute core of the issue. Look, just having a website up and running, that's not going to cut it anymore. The real challenge and the real opportunity is to cut through all that noise and become that trusted, reliable source. You know, a beacon of clarity that helps guide patients toward making good decisions. So how do you actually become that beacon? Well, you do it by intentionally bridging that information gap, connecting what patients are desperately searching for with the expertise that providers can offer. And the tool for building this bridge is what we call content marketing. Now, the formal definition sounds a little corporate, the strategic creation of valuable content, but in a healthcare context, believe me, it is so much more than just another marketing tactic. And this is the most crucial point. Content marketing in healthcare is, at its heart, all about building trust. It's about taking complex medical knowledge and translating it into accessible, empathetic information that speaks directly to a patient's real-world needs and fears. When it's done right, it isn't selling, it's serving. But okay, before you can build that bridge of trust, you have to know exactly who you're building it for. And that means really, truly understanding your very diverse audience. I love this metaphor. Your audience isn't just one big group. It's an orchestra. You've got patients, you've got caregivers, you've got other medical professionals. And each one of these groups is looking for something totally different, a unique note of information that speaks directly to them. And you can see how different they are. A patient just needs a clear, jargon-free explanation of what's going on. A caregiver, they might be searching for practical tips and maybe some emotional support. And another doctor, they want the latest research and data. See how a single piece of content just can't possibly serve all three of them effectively? Okay, so once you know who you're talking to and what they need, the next step is actually crafting content that connects with them on a really human level. And the best part about content marketing is its versatility. You can go way beyond just a simple blog post. An infographic can make complex data so much easier to understand. An animated video can demystify a scary procedure. A live Q&A session can address people's concerns in real time. The goal is always to pick the format that's going to serve your specific audience the best. This quote just nails it. It really gets to the heart of everything. Behind every diagnosis, every chart, every statistic, there is a person with a story. And tapping into that human element is exactly what takes good content and makes it truly great content. So how do you actually do that? Well, it all starts with identifying those compelling patient journeys. Then, of course, with their permission, you weave those personal stories into your content to show the real-world impact of your work. This doesn't just show off success, it builds an incredible amount of empathy and trust. All right, this next section is critical. In healthcare, all that creativity and connection has to be balanced with some very strict rules and ethical lines. Trust is everything, and man, it can be broken in an instant. These 3 points right here, they are absolutely non-negotiable. First, patient privacy under HIPAA is paramount. End of story. Second, every single piece of information you share has to be medically accurate and backed by evidence. And third, you have to be totally transparent about any financial relationships or conflicts of interest. These aren't just rules, they're the bedrock of your credibility. So, you're creating all this great, ethical content, but how do you know if it's actually working? That's where measurement comes in. You can track a handful of things to see how you're doing. Are more people visiting your website? Are they engaging with your content? Liking it, sharing it? And maybe most importantly, Are they taking that next step, like actually booking an appointment? You can also see if your content is showing up in search results when patients are looking for answers. All these metrics tell a story about your impact. But, the numbers are only part of the story. They're just a means to an end. The ultimate measure of success is an empowered patient who feels confident in their decisions and a brand that people see as a pillar of trust in their community. That is the real return on your investment. And all of this leaves us with one final big question for every single person working in healthcare. In that huge, overwhelming sea of online information, is your content a true beacon of clarity, or is it just adding to the noise? Because building that bridge of trust, it starts and it ends with being that beacon.